Hello everyone, welcome to EduTap. I am Surbhi and this is Perspective 360 Degree. First of all, a very happy Gandhi Jayanti to you. May we all be inspired by ideals and virtues of Mahatma Gandhi of non-violence, peace and truth. So, welcome to this session. Since it's a national holiday, so we are not conducting a live session. So, if you're watching this right now, you're watching a recorded video. So, live chat might be applicable, but I might not be able to respond to your doubts. What you can do is that watch this video and whatever doubts you have, please let us know in the comment section. So we will send our replies to your doubts. All right. Talking about Perspective 360 Degree, this is an initiative by EduTap to prepare you for descriptive writing portion of your exams. What we do is we know that the descriptive writing portion has become very dynamic. So we take the most important current affairs topics from which questions can be seen in your examination, that is phase 2. We teach you how to write answers. We take a question answer approach to discuss these topics, and towards the end of this video you're also given 48 hours to send your answers to us. The answers that you write, you can send to us in the comment section and they will be evaluated by our experts entirely free of cost. So the answers for today, it's Monday 5 p.m. right now. So till Wednesday 5 p.m. we will be open to taking answers under the YouTube, under the comment section under this video, and your answers will get free evaluation. All right, so let's proceed. And on the occasion of Mahatma Gandhi, we have picked up a scheme as topic which is named after him. That is Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. As it is written 100, so it guarantees 100 days of employment, and as you can see, it provides employment to unskilled labor. So skills are not required, unskilled labor, manual unskilled labor. All right, so first of all, let's see that why has it been news, where has it been in news. So this is a snapshot of the Hindu. Activists demand that MG Narega work be extended to 200 days. As of now it's provided for 100 days, so there is a demand that it should be extended to 200 days. Then MG Narega's social audit unit in a state of paralysis in many states. So basically MG Narega scheme, it has been said about the scheme that it has a lot of corruption. So to contain corruption, social audits are being carried. That is, communities or groups from that village itself carry out audits of the assets being created or the funds being allocated. So now there is a news again in the Hindu itself from September 28 that it is in a state of paralysis. Social audit is in a state of paralysis in many states. Now that is a problem, and for other reasons also, for budgetary constraints and various other reasons, the scheme has been consistently in news for the past many months and years. So yes, it is very important for your exam. Let's see where does it find relevance in RBI Grade B. For economic and social issues part, that is paper 1. When you have poverty alleviation and employment generation in India, I would say that this scheme, that is MG Narega, is the most important one for your exam. Then in the general topics also, you can also include it under financial inclusion, because yes, it leads to financial inclusion. For NABARD Grade A, again we have similar topics in section 1 of paper 2, that is ESI again. Poverty elevation and employment generation in India, rural and urban, measurement of poverty, poverty alleviation programs of the government. So it is possible that you might again see a question directly on this topic. And for SEBI Grade A, again you can see this in the financial inclusion part. It also involves use of technology. We'll see where is the technology involved in MG Narega. First of all, let's look at the expected question, and if you're watching this live, you can also type your answers in the live chat section. So just you get tested that what was the question that was displayed and how was it different from the one which you were thinking. So first of all, it says Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme, that is MG Narega's NREGS, has played a crucial role in employment generation and the alleviation of rural poverty. Yes, we agree. So this is just a statement. This is not a question. However, there are many limitations associated with the scheme. Discuss. Answer in 400 words for 10 marks. Now let me make it very clear to you. Whenever some appreciation of a scheme has been mentioned, that means you need to validate it with data and facts itself. So we will also write about how MG Narega has played a crucial role in employment generation and alleviation of rural poverty. We will definitely talk about this also because the directive here is discuss. However, there are many limitations associated with the scheme. So this will be our main answer. It will have most of the weightage. Alright, so if we are counting this for 10 marks, so you can consider that 6 marks are for the second part and the 4 marks would be for your introduction and what you write to validate the first statement, that the positive sides of Narega. Alright, so let's look at the answer blueprint first. The answer blueprint is divided into 3 parts: introduction, main body and conclusion. Please follow this approach for more and more marks. Alright, and as you can see that the main body can have different body parts with separate subheadings. Alright, so this is the question here. Again I'm displaying. Let's see how will we break it down. We will always start our answers with an introduction. In the introduction we basically showcase our knowledge to the examiner in a very dignified manner. So we'll talk about the scheme, we'll tell what we know about the scheme. That will take just 2 to 3 lines. If you know about any recent data or any recent nice statement or fact by some popular leader, we will talk about that as well. Feel free to quote Mahatma Gandhi in such answers. Feel free to quote your DPSPs in such answers if you have, if you remember and if you have studied them. Alright, so introduction, we'll talk about MG Narega. In the body part 1, which will be kept very short, we'll be talking about role played by MG Narega and what will be that role about? Employment generation and the alleviation of rural poverty. And in the body part 2, which will be actually long, we'll be talking about limitations, which is the main part of our answer. It will hold around 6 marks, so definitely focus on this more. And finally we'll conclude with a way forward or a summary, whatever we feel comfortable and whatever we can give at that moment. So first of all, let's begin by understanding what is MG Narega. I'll start with these pictures. Don't worry about the entire screen. As it is written here, it provides 100 days of unskilled employment to rural population. It is not applicable in urban areas as of now, though a demand has been made that such a scheme should be made available in urban areas also. So it is available only in rural areas. And as you can see, unskilled manual labor, that is validated here. So skilled labor cannot find employment in MG Narega or cannot find skilled work. So unskilled work is provided for 100 days and it is demand driven scheme. Demand driven means whenever a person goes to the government and says that I need a job is being provided within 15 days, and if the job is not provided, then unemployment allowance is given. That means in both the cases, whether the person is working, gets a job or not, in both the cases he will be getting allowance or money in return. So workflow of Narega, what I want to talk about here is yes, works can be proposed, what work has to be carried out. The role of Gram Panchayat is very important here. Gram Panchayat carries out the works of under the scheme, and the fund transfer is from center and states. Both the bodies actually contribute to the scheme. So here this is where we'll find the loopholes, that what is the problem with funding. Also, to check the development of assets made under MG Narega so that there is no delay or corruption, geo-tagging of assets has been done, and there is this application of ISRO. This is interface of ISRO, which is known as the Bhuvan portal. Bhuvan portal actually gives you information regarding geotagging of assets in the country. So geotagging means with the help of pictures from space, you can actually see, let's say a building was being constructed, so you can see that after 1 month how many floors have been made, how many walls have been created. So with the help of pictures, and which will be available on the Bhuvan portal. So it basically promotes transparency. Alright, so this was the brief overview of MG Narega. Now let's talk about the introduction. In introduction, as I said, that we will be writing about the scheme simply. Alright, so first of all, talk about when it was launched. It was launched in 2005. It is a great leap towards the eradication of poverty in the country, launched in 2005. And the important thing here is, as I told you, that it talks about if a person finds employment, well and good, then he'll be getting a salary, and wages are based on per day basis. All right, if the government is not able to provide him a job, then he will be getting an unemployment allowance, which means that working is not something that is a pleasure, it is your right to work. So it emphasizes on the approach of right to work, which is very constructive. All right, now this is the definition of the scheme. This has to be inculcated in your answer. It talks about that it aims at enhancing livelihood security of people in rural areas by guaranteeing 100 days of wage employment. You can write it as 100 as well, in a financial year to rural household whose adult members, it's not allowed for children, volunteer to do unskilled manual work. All right, so you can talk about aim, you can talk about when it was launched. If you mention right to work in your introduction, you will for sure get at least half mark more than what other aspirants are getting. So don't forget to do this. All right, so yes, these are some of the sustainable development goals. I will not be delving into these, but you can write about these sustainable development goals that are being promoted with the help of this scheme in your introduction itself. If you're not writing about these in your introduction, you can talk about these in your conclusion, that with the help of the scheme, contribution, there is a spelling mistake here, contribution to sustainable development goals 1, to reduce poverty, to reduce hunger, to for good health and well-being, good quality education, gender equality, decent work and economic growth, 9 and 10. All these sustainable development goals, they are being contributed towards with the help of this scheme. You can talk about at least 2 or 3 of these sustainable development goals in the introduction itself, talk about more in the conclusion. So these are some of the ways you can get more marks. You can also add one line that rural economy is very uncertain. It's dependent upon monsoons. It gets impacted by natural disasters a lot. Unemployment rate in rural areas is very low. So MG NAREGA, it actually promotes employment in rural areas. All right, so that will be part of your introduction. Now we'll move on to the let's delve deeper segment of this discussion. Here we discuss the body part of the answer, that is the second part of the answer. So the first part has been discussed, the body part 1, which has to be kept very short because this is not asked, but it is implicitly asked. It is implicit as the statement is given to you, so you will have to talk a little bit about this. We'll talk about role played by MG NAREGA. All right, so role played by MG NAREGA, first of all, it narrows down the disparities. People from all castes, they can be employed, and 1/3 participation of women is required here. That is, women are given a high level of employment under MG NAREGA, which they cannot find by other ways in rural areas. So it controls the causes of poverty. See, poor people, they do not have the benefits of upskilling themselves, of getting education. So it addresses their poverty levels. It benefits the bottom class deprived of education, land, skills, and social support. So it decreases poverty in rural areas, and that helps in narrowing down the disparities, differences between upper class and lower class, rich people, poor people. So it has, there is some data we'll validate it with, that it has increased Dalit and tribal participation, people who have not been able to find jobs in fiscal year, that is the previous one, 2022 to 23, by 37.19%. And previously, if I talk about 2020 to 21, it was previously, there has been an increase. This is the rate of increase that we are talking about. So an year-on-year increase has been seen in participation of these population. So all right, the second one is women empowerment. Again, it results in rural development. How does it do that? It guarantees 1/3 of its jobs to women, and this is not a very well-known fact, so inculcate these in your answers. One line would be enough. Then more than half of the participants are women, as has been seen. All right, so it optimizes their role when a woman of a family is earning, her role in decision making in the family and enhancing the education of her own or of her children. That increases, that also stretches the marital age, so decision making is very important here. Then self-reliance with rural infrastructure and development. We'll move on to the next slide to study this. How does it help in self-reliance? Self-reliance means self-reliance of villages. A village which did not have any water harvesting site, which did not have a pond, can create ponds and wells with the help of this scheme, by the help of labor under MG NAREGA. So it creates various natural resources such as ponds, dug wells, horticulture plantations. Basically, whatever is required in that village can be created. That asset can be created. Vermicomposting pits, manually enhancing the biodiversity and sustainable development. And geotagging has been done. So basically, it reduces corruption also, and it improves the quality of assets. Then finally, it stabilizes the Indian economy, not just the rural economy, but Indian economy. How does it do that? We'll talk about 2008 financial crisis, and in 2005 the scheme was launched. In 2008 there was a financial crisis in the world, so people were losing jobs and economies were impacted. But with the help of the scheme, India actually lifted, which is surprising, India actually lifted people out of poverty during those years where people were being pushed into poverty in other parts of the world. And more importantly, which is very recent, during the COVID-19 pandemic, the inflation levels in the country, or they were not as high as compared to other countries, and MG Narega has played a crucial role here, because people who found themselves unemployed actually went back to villages and registered themselves with MG under the scheme, and they found employment for a few days and they could sustain their household. So it provided a critical lifeline for record 11 crore workers. That was the time when this scheme got the highest budgetary allocation. So it was beyond 1 lakh crores. That is the budgetary allocation. So 11 crore workers, they were employed during the COVID-19 pandemic under the scheme, which helped compensate between 20 to 80% of income loss during lockdown. So that is very important. This is the reason that inflation levels of our country, or they were not very bad, or the unemployment levels of our country were not as bad as expected, or the situation didn't go as bad as it was presumed to be. So this part 1, 2, 3 and 4 you will write in very short. Make sure that you're just writing 1 point or 1 line or 1 data point for each of these. And here we are done with almost our 4 marks. All right. That means your body part 1, which had to be short, this has actually this has actually brought you 4 marks. Now we'll work on the 6 marks part. All right, that will be your body part 2, which is working on the limitations, which is the actual question here. And make sure that you're writing within the word limit. For a 400 marks question, for a 400 words answer, anywhere between 350 to 390 words, or anywhere above 350 words is good. Do not cross 400 words. All right. And now coming to the limitations, what are the problems associated with it? So we'll just look at the headlines. These are the recent ones which we've seen. So basically, MG Narega is out of funds. A lot of maximum allocation comes from the central government, and money comes from the central government. It is given to the states, and that's how states actually provide for these wages for 100 days of employment to people. So whenever central government's funds with the states, they get exhausted, then the states have to ask again for funds, because it is a demand driven scheme. Let's say for the first 6 months some money was given, then the level of unemployment in the state increased, and more people are demanding work under MG Narega. So by the time the entire process of transferring of funds from center to state gets completed, the annual year ends, and hence the scheme has been running out of funds, due to which problems with payments to workers, who have been promised that within 15 days they will get their payments. All right, so payments have been delayed, payments have been less, wage rate is very low. Wage rates, they're not constant, they're not the same for the entire country for one day. For example, somebody working in one state could get 300 rupees for working for one day. Somebody who's employed in some poorer state could be getting just 220 rupees. So it varies from state to state. And there have been payments stopped due to irregularities. This is a recent news coming from West Bengal. Then this is a very important one. It says center owes rupees 6366 crore in dues to states under MG Narega. So this money has not been released. There have been delays, and ultimately who suffers? It's the workers. So now we'll talk about limitations, and we'll talk about 6 limitations, and we'll talk about them in detail. The first problem is there is low wage rate, and on a year-to-year basis there is just 5% increase. This year the central government increased wages of MG Narega workers by 10% in 2 states in this budget. So wage rates are very low, and sometimes minimum wages which have been specified by states, they are even more. MG Narega wage workers, they get less than even minimum wages of many states. That's what I mean to say. So Narega wages have been revised, but less than 5% hike in 21 states and union territories. So that is a problem. Then second one is budgetary constraints. And if you have been following this year's budget, that is the 2023 budget, if you have followed it, there was a lot of chaos around centers decreased budgetary allocation towards this scheme, and many ministers also said that is the central government trying to put a full stop on MG Narega? What will be the future of the scheme? So chart budget 2023's Narega allocation is lower than all previous Modi 2.0 years. That means since 2014, the scheme has got lowest allocation. Now this was said by the finance minister that Narega is a demand-driven scheme. So whenever more funds are demanded by states, we will give them. So budgetary allocation has not a bigger role to play here. But again, as we saw on the previous slide, that payment delays are there by center towards the state governments. All right, then there are unmet targets. What do we mean by, first of all, let's look at this data regarding budget constraints. Reducing from ever peaking budget of, this is 1,11,500 crore rupees, and now it is just 60,000 crore rupees in this year's budget. All right, so 2020, that was during the pandemic. From that time to now, it has almost halved, and which is like also it is 18% less than the previous year. So whatever data you can remember, if you can remember the this year's allocation, well and good, go ahead, write it in your answers. It will impress the examiner for sure. Then talking about unmet targets. Unmet targets means the scheme is supposed to provide you 100 days of employment, or there has to be unemployment allowance. But when you see average days of work which have been provided to people by the state governments, that is just 47.84. Trust me on this. Till now, we have not received, an annual data in any financial year where 100 days employment has been got by people, has been taken by people for all the states of the country, for all the rural areas of the country. So that is a big question mark on the scheme, that what about this 100 days guarantee? So it was earlier 51.52 days, 50 days, and now it has come to around 47.84 days. Your Down to Earth magazine covered this extensively few months back, so this is a very important statistics, don't forget it. All right, not the exact data, but just remember that average number of days of employment, that is decreasing, actual number of days. All right. So then there are payment delays and non-payment of unemployment allowance. This, I think we've talked about that, why there are payment delays and non-payment of unemployment allowance. Again, that is because of budgetary constraints, and payment delays are there because of this tussle between center and states. States do not have funds. So basically this is a result of the budgetary constraint, because money is not coming. Now fifth one, and the most recent one, that's why we have taken up this issue today, is technical issues. Recently, the data of around 3 crore beneficiaries under MG Narega, 3 crore workers under MG Narega, that got deleted. Why did it get deleted? Because the government was trying to digitize everything under MG Narega to reduce corruption, which will be our sixth topic that we'll take here. So the technical issue problem is very big. They say that digital literacy in rural India is maximum 30%. That out of 10 people, only 3 people know how to use a mobile phone or any other digital gadget. So in such conditions, your Aadhaar based payment system has been activated, that Aadhaar seeding or Aadhaar linkage has to be done, and National Mobile Monitoring System for the assets has been activated. And recently the data of 3 crore workers got deleted, so they will have to register themselves again in many of the states, or with many of the gram panchayats. So basically it has imposed more burden of irregularities. Sometimes people are going for work, but there are attendance failures because of I would say loopholes in digitization system. Then there are payment failures. Direct payment is not happening. Improper ground monitoring because of this NMMS, problems with NMS, unstable networks, multiple links with Aadhaar and bank accounts, and lack of transparency. So this is the problem which has erupted recently. This is about technical issues. And when we talk about corruption in MG Narega, I told you that this is the most unpopular scheme when we talk about corruption. So basically, I think that's a repetition of the previous slide. Sorry for that. This is not lack of awareness. This is corruption here. All right, so we'll edit this in your PDFs. Excuse me for that. So basically, to tackle corruption, social audit is being carried out. Social audit means, what do you mean by social? Social means which concerns society. Society means a group in society means the society of that village. All right, so people from the village, they actually carry out audits of assets created under MG Narega, that how much time was taken, how much funds were allocated, how much funds were promised, let's say to build a dam or to build a pond, how much funds were promised, how much funds were actually received, did the people get their daily allowance, or did they not get it, or did they get their unemployment allowance. So all this is audited by the Gram Panchayat itself. Gram Panchayat of that village carries out the audit. That's why it is known as social audit, because all the members, all the eligible voters of a village are members of Gram Panchayat. All right, so all the people are basically auditing MG Narega. Now they say that yes, social audits are being carried out, but look at this figure, that less than 14% of the amount flagged by auditors has been recovered. So if social audit is coming out with some loopholes, they're saying that yes, there is a problem, there is corruption here, but who is responsible to take those funds back, or to, you know, provide redressal of that corruption that has been carried out? That is the responsibility of state government. Now they say redressal has happened with less than 14% of funds. So rest of the funds, they are being eaten up by businessmen. They are being eaten up somewhere between in the process. So what is the relevance of the social audit? Hence, there is a lot of corruption happening and nobody is doing anything about it. All right, so inculcate these in your answers, inculcate this in your answers. I hope this part is clear to you. Now moving on to the conclusion, we have successfully addressed most of the parts. See, nobody is going to cut your marks if you don't write a conclusion. Nobody will cut your marks, but if the examiner till the limitations part, if he has thought that out of 10 you will be awarded 7 marks, if you don't write a conclusion, if you end your answers on an open-ended note, then he might cut your marks. He might give you 5.5, let's say. All right, so concluding it, ending it for the examiner is very necessary. And as I told you in the previous discussion, don't get over emotional with your conclusions. Don't write negative about any government bodies, no matter how negative you are feeling, no matter how many challenges you've written about. All right, so again, in way forward or conclusion, you can talk about sustainable development goals if you didn't do that in the introduction part, and just say that yes, there are some problems with the system, yet the scheme has yielded good outcomes, as we discussed in the first part. So it is a lifeline of poor households. This is something you have to mention. Make sure you're not using the same lines in your introduction. All right, they have to be different from introduction. And in a trend of widening disparities to control poverty and improve livelihoods, the scheme must be repaired. So this is such a nice way to say that yes, solutions are required. Solutions are required from all the ends. Instead of, the government should do this, the government should do that. This is a very nice way. So it must be rejuvenated by allocating adequate funds. So whatever problems we talked about in the body part 2, we will be giving solution by using commas to all of these. Allocating adequate funds to meet requirements of demand-driven job, ensuring a complete 100 days of work. Payments must be processed within 15 days from the date of closure. Technical constraints must be addressed. So, and that is your second line of the answer, second or third line. These will make, 2 lines. These will make 1 line with the help of commas. And this will make your third line of conclusion, that indeed the optimal usage of the scheme is mandatory for self-reliance, poverty reduction, economic recovery and prosperous nation. What you can do is you can you can actually repeat the question statement here, or this is what we've done. We have paraphrase the question statement to emphasize on this more and to remind the examiner that yes, we have completed the answer that you demanded us to write. So that's all your discussion for today. I hope this has been interesting for you. Now for 48 hours our comment section will be open. It will be activated after that also, but if you require free evaluation to your answers from our side, which you must, then write your answers in the comment section by Wednesday 5 p.m. The question is on the screen. The PDF for this discussion will be available on our Telegram channel by tomorrow morning. So you can refer the content from there. Always try to add something else from your side. Try to read one more article regarding one scheme and have an index. This is the 9th topic that we are discussing today. I'm sure that you don't remember what was the first topic that we discussed. So have an index. Have your own notes, write answers on a daily basis. It helps you memorize better and it will prepare you for succeeding in your next attempt. Make it the final attempt of your life. I'll see you with another discussion on Wednesday at 5 p.m. Please share your answers as soon as possible so that we can evaluate them at the earliest. Thank you for the discussion. My name is Surbhi. If you have some feedback, the comment section is open for you. Also, you can contact us at hello@edutap.co.in or call us at 8146-207-241. Subscribe to this channel. It's going to be immensely helpful in your preparation if you haven't done it yet. And it's goodbye for now.